What is happening, guys? Cowboy here, and we are ready to continue on. So before we head on over to take out the Twin Princes, actually ended up missing an Estus shard back here over in Lothric Castle. So a little bit of a sneaky one, just because of how dark this room is, but just run back here, and we have a chest right here. Thank you, Silver Knight, for that. That was nice. So we got that, and then there's also a shard we're going to grab back near where we fought the 3 angels from earlier. We're going to head on down and then grab that one as well. And it looks like these knights are very insistent that I kill them. Should have stayed back. Right, so we are going to hop over to, did I get that shortcut yet? No, I did not. Okay, so we're going to go Grand Archives first. I don't think I got that shortcut, I don't know. All of the Dark Souls is beginning to just blend together at this point. So we'll take the Grand Archives first to grab that shard. And we'll likely get our final Estus shard this episode as well. So we're at 12 right now. We have 11 regular, and then of course the 1 Ash Estus. We just picked up what would be 13. We're going to grab 14 in a moment. And then 15 is in the area we're going to be tackling right after the boss. And just looking at the content I still have to cover, I mean, my most concerning thing is how to fit these all. Like this episode, I feel like this one will end up just being a little bit short just because of where we're at with content. Like, I'd like to do the Consumed King's Garden as its own episode, as well as the Untended Graves, but both of those areas are kind of short, so I think we're going to start the Consumed King's Garden in this episode. But anyway, so we're going to head on out. Not sure how I overlooked this before. I mean, it's just kind of, you know, like getting towards the end. Everything's beginning to blend together between the various playthroughs. But anyway, just run along all the way on the back roof. I think we do have to go up. Yep, here we go. All the way back here. Now, of course, if you really feel that you need the Estus, you know, feel free to go and spend it to get those shards before the boss fight. Oh, wow. That is a garbage invisible wall. That being said, I don't think we're going to need them for this boss fight. This boss fight goes pretty smooth, especially, you know, we have Fugs, and as we all know at this point, Fugs is the equivalent of God mode for strength builds. I actually feel bad for the bosses after this guy. Like, the next boss we fight, God, he's going to get destroyed. But before we reach the boss, we have the gauntlet. So, a bunch of enemies to take out. There's a couple archers as well, so just stay mobile. The longer you spend, the more of a chance there is of the knights making it up to us. And actually, I think we will end up spending those shards, but just not right now. We'll have a chance to go to the bonfire before we reach the boss. Alright, so at this point you can see the knights are coming on down. There's 2 archers right there still, so do be wary of them. But there's going to be 3 Lothric knights approaching. See the first one up in the front. And they'll just kind of patrol, so we're going to actually go up and get one. There we go. We definitely have his attention now. Just getting far enough that these arrows won't be a concern at all. And as always, Fugs takes care of business. Actually, before we go too much farther, I want to check. Actually, I believe we got the Lothric Knight's shield already, so we should be fine in that regard. 3 shield guys also have patrolled down along with the knights. 1 hit's enough to stagger, 2nd hit's enough to kill. You can see the other knights have patrolled back at this point. So, head on up real quick. I'm actually going to reduce the volume a little bit. Game's just a wee pinch too loud. Come now. Would have preferred to fight you one at a time, but if that can't be done, then I guess I just have to take you all out. Alright, so now that we are up, there's the door. But before that, we have an elevator right here. I'm going to take that all the way down. And this is back around the Dragon Slayer. So, real quick, run on in, hop off. And it may not look like it, but this elevator is actually a two-fold elevator. You can see that now that it's reached, so we're going to hop on. Go all the way down. And waiting for us here at the bottom is a Titanite slab. So at this point I would suggest just popping a bone to head on back. Just a little bit easier since we're going to use our Estus shards as well as level up. And then we're going to go knock out some bosses. And actually, considering I don't really use use magic at all, I'm gonna get rid of my get rid of the Ash Estus altogether for now.
Pretty be careful. I don't want to see.
Well, very then take.
Keep getting that vigor on up.
Farewell, Ashen One.
And now from the boss, we're going to be doing the Dragon Slayer armor bonfire instead. So this next boss is the twin princes, Lorian and Lothric. Now the fight goes in 2 phases. The first phase, it's just going to be you versus Lorian. And all in all, his attacks are fairly well telegraphed. He does teleport around because his, I don't know, I guess his legs are partially broken, so he's on his knees. And it seems like, oh, this is going to be easy. This guy can't walk. No, he'll just teleport on top of you and swing. But that being said, as I mentioned, they are fairly telegraphed, so the attacks are fairly easy to dodge. The one attack I would keep your eye out for is occasionally he'll teleport farther away. Typically he teleports close, but he'll teleport farther away, and he'll raise his sword high up in the air, and then do a very large slam towards the ground, and it sends a shockwave of what I believe to be holy damage straight towards you. Incredibly damaging move. If you're not at full health, there is a good chance this will one-shot you. That being said, it's very, very telegraphed, so you'll see it. No! Oh, damn it. I forgot that I took it down. I feel like an idiot. But as I was saying, it is very well telegraphed, so you'll see it coming. Just ensure that when you do see this coming, you're ready for it and you do dodge. Now following that, we'll go on to phase 2 of the fight. Phase 2 of the fight will involve Lothric coming down and joining into the fray. And it's important to note that this fight actually ends when you kill Lothric. So what will happen is Lothric will come down, he will sit on Lothian's back, he'll resurrect him, and then for the rest of the fight, Lothric will sit on his back. You can damage both Lothric and Lothian at the same time, or Lorian, excuse me, mixing their names up. Lorian's name is just blending together with Lothric. And then if you end up taking down Lorian again in phase 2, before killing Lothric, Lothric will just continually resurrect him until you take him out. So what does this mean for you? Basically, when we get into phase 2 of this fight, what you're going to want to do is focus on only attacking when you are for sure that you can hit both Lorian and Lothric. And that way, when Lorian finally goes down, Lothric will be low enough that while he attempts to res Lothric, you can finish him off right then and there. So we're going to buff before we go in. Let's do it.
Oh dear. Another dogged contender. Welcome, unkindled one, purloiner of cinders. Mind you, the mantle of Lord interests me none. The fire-linking curse, the legacy of lords, let it all fade into nothing. You've done quite enough. Now have your rest.
Like how as talk about how well telegraphed it is and then immediately get hit. Some other things I should mention, when Lothric comes out, he has some additional attacks he'll do. He has one that's kind of reminiscent of Soul Mass, but with Holy Energy. In addition to that, he has a like Holy Soul Spear, if you will, that can do quite a bit of damage. You can hide behind the pillars to dodge it. Oh man, I'm just... Should have probably done a warm-up against him first, so I was in a better position. But I think I can still do this on my first attempt. Okay, here's the Holy one I talked about. Easy enough to dodge, as you saw right there.
Dear brother, I'm on my way. My brother, unyielding sword of Lothric's prince. Rise if you would, for that is our curse.
Kinda creepy. Brother Senpai, I'll protect you. Still a cool boss fight regardless. Right, now they're nice and cindered up for us. Embered up, whatever you want to call it. So here is the Holy Soul Mass thing I discussed. Really want to get around the back. Come on now. You can see how Lothric takes a little less damage than Lorian, just ever so slightly. Holy Blast. One thing to watch out for with that is, come on, stop that. There's this Holy Soul Spear I was talking about. If you're dodging, be cautious of the chairs and tables to the left and right of this arena. I know on the deck split at least, we had a couple times where I was dodging, and those actually ended up basically preventing my dodge. So something to be aware of. Oh man, he's doing more damage than I thought he would to me. No. We are doing absurd amounts of damage though. This fight will definitely end in one attempt. No! Oh my god. Wow. I like how just as I start to get cocky, he just ends it. Alright. Either way, I don't expect much trouble here. Honestly, I think my biggest problem is that we ended up finishing up the actual Dex playthrough last night, got all my notes ready, jumped in to continue on with this, and then, still morning, not quite fully awake yet, so that's what I'll chalk it up to. Sleepy cowboy. But no more. This time he's going to go down. Gonna Pale Pine, just whoop his ass. Actually, I'm curious real fast if I have any... no I don't. I really like Dark Essence. I wish you could buy plenty of the Dark Resin. I mean, maybe it's a New Game Plus thing. I know it is generally more expensive, but perhaps you can have unlimited in New Game Plus, whereas they only sell one in New Game. And we'll Ember up just to get our health up a little bit more, so that we don't have to worry about the one-shot as much. Really a three-hitter. Did not expect that. Oh man, I did not know we could do a stagger on him like that. Wow, that's the I think one of the first times I've ever seen damage to Lothric and not Lorian at all. Ooh. Come on, baby. Oh, there we go. We got it off. Come on, teleport. Oh, and I'm late on my rolls. Man, I'm just sloppy. Those times where it's like you want to be at full health while you're attacking him. They reapply. No, I already reapplied. I should be fine. mention, though, you kill Lothric and the fight ends. Even if Lorian gets back up. Cinders of a Lord and Soul of the Twin Princes. So, surprisingly, that episode actually did take up most of the 20 minutes between grabbing the items and explaining the fight, so that's good. Anyway, continuing on from here, all we have left is one more boss of the game, and then, well, we have the final boss, and then, of course, the optional areas. So we're going to be having an episode for the Consumed King's Garden, one for the Untended Graves, and then Archdragon Peak will likely be 3 episodes total, I believe, and then we are on to the end. So one thing we haven't been doing, we've been terrible about doing this, is actually placing the ashes of the dead bosses. All for our cinders. The big old head. Now I do want to note that for now at least, do not place Lorian and Lothric's. Once you place theirs, it's going to trigger the cutscene that will eventually lead us on into the final battle. You can place it without going to the final battle, but I figure it's better to just wait for now. So anyway, come back here, talk to Lulith. The 2 items possible here are Lothric's Holy Sword, a pretty cool sword, you know, 10, 18, and then 14 in Faith. Sacred Lothric Light as the special, or the Lorian Greatsword, which I actually ended up using quite a bit during the Let's Play. Really solid Greatsword, all in all. We're not going to need either of those, though, because, yeah, fucks. So if you don't want the weapon, of course, feel free to nom that baby on down for a quick 20k. I'm more interested in getting my vigor up higher.
Very well. Then hey.
Beautiful. We're going to wrap up there. So for the next episode, we are going to be heading on over all the way back to the Dancer of the Bereal Valley Fire. So head on over that way, and we will catch you guys with the next part.